I took this little end and cut off what I needed. Needed. I got what I needed. Hello everybody, this is Jason McCumsey from Redbeard Rebuilding coming back to you with your at-home version of how to regrip a javelin. The big warning I'm going to put with this is that way nobody can come back and yell at me. I cannot guarantee doing it this way is going to pass an inspection. I would only use this for a javelin that you practice with. If you have an old rules one like a couple that I have beside me that I'll show you in a few minutes, or if you're making a training implement or anything along those lines, I would not do it on a competition javelin. Have somebody else do that has all the proper tools. Because if you take this to an event where they check everything in and you put it on that balancer and something goes awry, then you don't have a javelin at all and you have to borrow somebody else's. So again, do not do this on a javelin that you guys are going to take to an event and actually compete with. So, starting on there, things you're going to need. Roll of masking tape, a metric tape. This is a metric tape. Everything is going to be reading backwards to you guys because you're using the self-facing camera, but this is a metric tape. Having a Sharpie or two around will come in handy, as well as a knife or a pair of scissors or both. I probably would recommend both. Also, watch my other video first, and end this one. Press the little X. Go back to my first one. See how I do a brand new javelin. So I'm not going to go through all of the steps on this because this isn't a competition javelin. But if you read the other ones, you'll find all the little tidbits like using the athletic tape underneath the grip to help everything glue on. Things like that. Those little tricks. I would go back, watch that one before you go and do this. Now, I almost forgot. You're gonna need your cord. If you don't have that, you're really out of luck. The measurements that we need to worry about right now is the grip length. Men's is 150 to 160, ladies is 140. Now, what those numbers mean. Your grip, whether it's men's or ladies, can only be so long. Now, I suggest still following this rule to the best that the best you can on your practice javelin. If it's just a training tool that like a bungee that you're making, I won't worry about it too much. But for a javelin you're actually going to throw, I would try and do this to the best of your abilities. Now, this part here I actually marked 150 millimeters. That's where the 5 and that little red line is 150 to 160 millimeters. Every little line in there is a millimeter. If you don't know how to read a metric tape, I would suggest learning because everything in collegiate is in metric. Now, what I have here is an old rules javelin. You can even hear it's got a loose weight floating around inside of it somewhere. It's actually an old Dick held javelin with a broken tip. Might have a broken tail too. But what I'll show you is everybody should know how to use one of these. Put it to the very end there and take it across. As you can see, it's the best of my ability to show you, it is between 150 and 160 millimeters. So you know right now this grip is technically legal and is proper length. So 2 ways to mark this. Put your tape aside, you're going to need it later. Is either to use your masking tape or to use your marker. Now, this is an old javelin. I don't really care what it, if anything happens to it. So what you're going to do here, and you can see what I'm doing. All right, take it, spin around and mark that line at the top, just like so. Same thing down at the bottom. I know you can't see it, but you don't really need to. I'll show it to you in a second. Make sure you get the whole way around. Well, you can see my black mark there, black mark there. That way I already know that's good. What you can also do if you don't want to mark up your javelin, that's where the masking tape comes in handy. Peel a little bit off. I'm going to do this facing me, but you guys understand. And spin around, spin around, spin around. And marks your top line. I apologize for the noise. I have neighbors, just in case you need it. I'm going to shrink down here so I can see what I'm doing. Whoops. That's not right. Slide this around, just like so. There you go. Everything's marked. Now, grab the right thing out of my little pocket. Maybe. This is where your knife comes in handy. You can use scissors to do this. I have done it that way. Lots of cars today. Which is weird. It's COVID. Go home. Anyway. My dogs are out. Say hi. Anyway. This is just a standard old pocket knife. I have done this with a pair of scissors, but you're just going to go through and cut. Most of the time, if you cut through that top one, you can do something like this. And it just, it's a lot of noise there. Dusted. It's been a while. I'm going to stand this way. I won't get dust in the face. Just pull it off, just like so. Trying to make sure I'm in frame. And this is what you see when you're underneath it. Some javelins come off nicely, kind of like what this one did. Put that down for now. We're going to spin you. Spin, 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 spin. Here are some other javelins, old rules and broken javelins that I've had sitting around my house. You can tell this one came off nice and clean. This one here is an old Namath. They used a tape underneath it. Currently they use a glue, or excuse me, they don't use glue. They use a two-sided tape instead of what this one is here. This one is just some athletic tape. I would not, if it's a Namath, do not try and take that tape off. That stuff is gooey, and unless you're going through and really reworking it, trying to repaint it, there's other problems in there that you have to worry about. Don't do it to a Namath. Let a professional take care of that one. So you can re-grip one, just don't try and take that tape off. It's going to be a hassle. You're going to chip your paint. More trouble than you need to worry about. This one obviously came off really nice and clean, and so did this one. That's actually an old Deckheld as well. There's no date on that one. I don't know if there was a date on this one. There is not a date on this one. The other warning, or not necessarily a warning, the other reason not to do this to a javelin you're going to compete with, you also have to worry about how much it weighs. Not sure, right there. You see how this one has a piece of lead on it. There was another piece of lead on it that fell off. I'm not sure if you saw that as I was doing this. So unless you have a scale to try and weigh 800 grams, that's another problem you're going to run into. Don't do this to a javelin that's going to get inspected. I can't stress that any more than that. Just don't do it. So let's put you there for right now, right in front of the camera. So then, gonna get. Now, right now, I do not have my masking, or not my masking. I have masking. I do not have my athletic tape with me. I wasn't planning, or I had no plans on gluing this one on, because obviously it's a scrap javelin that I don't need, and it's just sitting in the backyard. So we're going to use masking tape to show you what I would do with athletic tape. So, like I said, if you watched the video before this, before doing all of this, you're a little late, because I said it earlier. But again, this will be very helpful. Think of what I'm about to do with this tape. You know what? Do I? Hold that thought. I have two different color tapes. So, think of this masking tape as athletic tape. Use athletic tape, not masking tape. Masking tape will not help you. What I like to do, like I said in the other video, is I'll use athletic tape to do this with, because it helps give something else for that cord to stick to. You just go all the way down here to your mark or to your other piece of tape. Cut it off. Make sure everything's good and tight. In the other video, you'll see what you would have or need to see how I did this. I start at the tip end. I don't know why I just did that. Can't show you the tip, it's way far down. This is the tip end. The frayed end of your cord faces up, and you want to put it, in this case, a little different than the other video. You want to put it right above that line, right above where your tape line is or your marker. Now you just wrap it like I did in the other video. Do not cut the cord before you do this. Wrap this first without cutting the cord. Otherwise you can possibly get short cord. And if you're trying to put a correct amount of cord on here, you don't want to do that. Give me a minute, I don't know how to fast forward. Like I said, this video is being done on a phone. You're facing me, so that's why my words are backwards. You hear the jingle of the weight? If you have a javelin that does that, do not try to fix it yourself. Because I can guarantee you, you're not going to like the results. I have broken a few javelins trying to figure it out. Because you need a torch. Most times you need a torch. Never torch a carbon fiber javelin. You will be out of luck. Anyway, alright. Now that you heard me, you heard me go through all this. I've taken everything right up to that line. Now, the other reason for having your tape. Now, I apologize. I've realized I've called this a tape and that tape. They're both tapes. One's just measuring and one's masking. So I apologize if there's confusion. You want to take your measuring tape, turn it to the metric side, and find... Do you know what those two marks are? Did I tell you? I know I told you. I had the piece of paper. I had to flip the camera around. But I told you what it was. It's between 150 and 160 millimeters. Not centimeters, millimeters. That's going to be upside down to you. Upside down and backwards. Not any good. Won't help you. Turn it right side up. So, like I said, 150 millimeters is that little red line. Right now, oops, I'm a little low. You can see I'm just above it. You could probably do another cord wrap around there. Try and do that just to show you the general gist of things. Hope it's not snowing again. It is snowing again. It's snowing in Pennsylvania again. I'm in southern Lancaster County and it's snowing. In my second YouTube video. Figure that one out. Alright, so you see where my tape is. I have this down at the very, let me show you. Find that very first cord wrap. Make sure your end is right there. You come up to it. And that wrap, that last one got me up to 160. That's where you want to be to do this. Now, like I said, this is currently at 160. What I do when I go to wrap a javelin, I take it one extra turn. An easy way to figure out where your turns are, find that notch where you started. Excuse me, I burped. Roll it till you get back to it. Now, this is where you get a reverse. Go back to my other video and watch how I go through and do the rest. Because like I said, this is a scrap javelin. I'm not going to try and put this on. But I went too far on this. Just giving you guys an example. I will take you guys up to the gluing part. Because that's where we don't need to be. So, I'm going to do this. I'm sure I'm still too far. I'm just going to take back to that mark. Take back to that mark. Where are we at? Alright, so that's good where we are. My tape is in the right spot. Now that you know that this is where you want your cord. If it's not, move this piece of tape and remark it. Do not move this one. Move that one where your cord is right now. Between 150 and 160 millimeters. Now, take it, unravel everything, and redo it in the other direction. The reason we do it in the other direction is because it won't leave a big knobby back here. Flares are really good. You don't want that big knobby to be back here where you're trying to put your finger. If you do end up using this in a competition, some judges can be a little picky about how big the stick up is down here, thinking you're using it, for advantage reasons, which we're not, and we don't want to. So my masking, my tape there doesn't want to stick. How about that? Why don't you want to stick to it? Stick. You just stick a second ago. Alright, one other thing you want to watch. Right here is frayed, so that way it doesn't stick up when you're wrapping. But always make sure this here, spin it so that way it's good and tight. I need another piece of tape. Remember, masking tape is bad. To glue over. Use athletic tape, not masking tape. Right now I just don't have it with me. So, like I said, try this again. We are going to go in this direction. We want to do it right at that mark, whether you have it on tape, whether you have it as a or tape or marker. Get that good and tight there, and just start your wrap. If you give me a minute here, we'll get to the other end. Trying to make this within 20 minutes. We're not tight. You want your cords to be tight against each other. You don't want them to start to open up. Because then if this starts moving around, loosens up your grip, starts to pull the glue up, never good. Keep everything good and taut like a target. Austin Powers reference if you're old enough. But come down to your tape, grab your measuring tape, remeasure yourself from one end to the other. I'm going to look at this. I already explained this to you. Right now I am under 600. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around till I get to 6. Where am I at? Good, till I get to 6. Right. I am now at 6. Take it one loop past so you have extra to go up underneath. Now this is when I still leave about yay long, a couple inches, inch and a half, 2 inches there. And this is where I would cut. That way you have enough. Show you this way. That way when it comes around, you know you have enough to stick underneath. There we go. So, once you cut your piece, unravel it all back, put your glue down, and start wrapping. If you check out my other video, like I said, it'll give you a better explanation of what to do after this point. I also have a short video that comes out about how to make a flexible needle that will make putting the cord underneath here a heck of a lot easier, especially if you have to do more than one. So, before the dog starts barking any more than I need her to, I thank you for joining me here on Redbeard Rebuilding. And that's how you regrip your javelin for at-home use and training purposes. Stay safe, throw far.